All right, I want to ask. This is an interesting one to me as a dad, so I want to see what your perspective is on this.
Okay.
It says, "How do I reconcile my fears and trust in God when it comes to my young children? My husband wants to leave on an anniversary trip out of town, and I'm not comfortable leaving my kids with Christian grandparents or anyone else. I overthink all the what ifs, and if I know, and I know so many people in church are not what you think they are. I know it's worry, but what if it's discernment?" What would you say to this mom?
Well, I would say you do your due diligence in making sure that whoever you're going to leave your kids with love Jesus and are going to treat him the right way. You cannot protect your kids from everything, but you do everything that you can to protect your kids, and then you trust God. And, I'm thinking, if you're saying that your husband wants to go somewhere, he's your first ministry.
Yeah.
And we can use that, so many excuses like, I don't want to do that because I don't want to leave my kids. And, you need to find someone. It sounds like you have Christian grandparents. Yay for you.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, get out of town.
Yeah.
Right. Go, run.
Yeah,
And we can worry. I'll give you an example of what happened to me when Bethany was little, and I finally put her in her own room. So she's really little. And I would get up, I would wake up every 2 hours, and you run in there and you look, and then you come back and then you lay back down, and you run in there. And anyways, I woke up and God said, "Don't get out of bed." And I was like, wait, what is that supposed to mean? Don't get out. I mean, it's pretty clear, but that's what I'm like.
He tells me that every
elaborate
morning.
that? Yeah, don't get No, he does not.
Don't cook dinner.
No. And so basically he told me, you have to trust me. If you get out of bed, it's direct disobedience to me. And I was like, I know, but what if this happens to her? And what if that happens? What if she's not breathing? What if, all that stuff? And so I laid there. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I laid there, but you know what? It's trusting God. So what I started doing too is memorizing fear scriptures.
Yeah.
I'll have to look up and see where it's at, but it says, it's in Psalms, and it says, "There they were in great fear where no fear was," because God's already scattered the bones of those people that are encamping against you, or the things that are coming against you. So if you memorize those things, then when you're afraid, so you're on your little vacation with your husband, and for me, I'm sorry, I'm the opposite of you. I was like, see ya. And Steve was always like, we should get back. No. So anyway, when you feel like that, then you run into the bathroom and say, "Jesus, you need to help me not be afraid. Protect my kids, pray for your kids, pray for the grandparents, whoever's taking care of them, then go back out and have fun with your husband."
Yeah. And remember that God doesn't
I think I have that somewhere.
God doesn't speak to us through fear.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak to us through worry in that sense. He's not he's not the author of confusion. So if you're confused, these things are not from the Lord.
Yep.
So it's just, I think the enemy is just trying to get you into a place to, like you said, not enjoy your marriage relationship with your husband, trying to kind of put a wedge in there.
Yep.
I love the verse in First John, where it says that perfect love casts out fear, because fear speaks of judgment.
Yes.
And so judgment comes when, for me, how I take that, because I can be very fearful, is that judgment says that God's not in my life, that I'm not saved, because
yeah, it's like
now
condemning.
I'm falling,
it condemns you.
Yeah, like I'm falling under judgment. And
you're not doing things right. If
I'm
you were
not-
only
yes,
the perfect
if
mom, if you were
yes.
only these things, no.
And that is not perfect love. It's
Yeah. Mine was Psalms 53:5. The other one, great fear. But you can look up a bazillion fear verses, and really God says you're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be afraid. So I mean, if there was no one to leave your kids with, then you're
Yes.
trying to find someone to do that. But you know what? Your husband's important, and we put them off to the side all the time for our kids. Like, thanks, sorry, we're tired. Sorry, we don't want to. Sorry that.
Yeah.
Go on vacation.
Yes. And
Go have fun.
And I think when we don't want to trust someone else with our children, in essence, and I can only speak for myself, what I was saying was that I'm the only one that can take care of them, and it's a control issue. So I had to have an open hand and let God. Yeah. And I had girls, and so it was really hard.
And sorry to let you in on this, but when your kids get older, you have to trust God all the time. Second they get their license, that's all you are is on your knees from that second on forever. It's never, because you don't know, you're trusting God with them, and it's up to God to protect them from, obviously you're watching out, but so you have to trust God all the time when you don't know where they are, when they haven't called you, and it goes on. So you might as well start learning it right now. They're little, learn it now.
Yeah.
So, because this is something that I struggle with, and it's from my background, right? I came out of corrections, and I've seen the worst that the world
I'm
has,
sure,
and
yeah.
all the child abuse and everything. I had a really good, and I don't want to confuse people or counteract what you said. I want to confirm what
Right,
you just
yes.
said, so don't get confused. But I had a friend whose grandfather, or not grandfather, but his dad, which was the grandpa in the family, who was a deacon at the church, you know, for whatever that's worth. Obviously not much in this situation, but they took him over to the grandparents and then found out, and I don't know, she was 7, 8 years old, but he was molesting the daughter and all that stuff. And so just an example of stuff as a father, like that just sticks in my mind. And then of course we're in corrections. I was not trusting God and like what you said. So I think that there is a balance. When she mentions discernment, in the world that we live in,
Yeah.
I see a lot of parents that are on the other side, where they're just free reign. They don't know what their kids are doing. They don't know who they're hanging out with.
No.
We don't live in the world like my folks used to speak of, where you could let your kids go and ride bikes down the street. It just doesn't exist anymore. You know, we live in the Sodoms where it's a dangerous place. And so I think discernment is a very important thing, and especially I think Holy Spirit will give you information. But at some point, you are not living the Christian life if that's how you live your life. And from the verses you just quoted, I want to read this one. It's Philippians 4:6-7. It says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus." So, and you already said it, but we have discernment. We do the best we can as a parent, and then we have to give it up for God, or it's going to ruin our life.
Well, and I have to say that I guess I read the question in such a way as how I would have said it, because I'm the one, I would have a problem with this. This was me when Mitch wanted to leave the girls. We tried to get away once a month, overnight, and I mean we'd be leaving it with Bobby and Nancy, people who we trusted.
We're not feeding them hot dogs though.
Yes,
Wasn't her
she would
kids.
feed them Fruit Loops. No, I'm just kidding. But I still had a hard time with that, and so sometimes I would think that my reticence or my sense of fear was God giving me discernment about a situation. Right. So that's what I'm referring to.
Yes.
God,
that's what I think too,
God,
because sometimes you do have to listen to that, right? Because you're like, something's not right, and you don't know what it is, and so that's what I'm saying. Like you have to investigate, you have to figure out. And I think if you completely do not feel comfortable, I would talk to my husband like, I don't feel comfortable for some reason. I don't know what it is, right? And you guys pray about it, right? And if he's feeling comfortable, you know what I mean? So it's like,
and that's what I would do. I would talk to Mitch about it. And because he's the head of the home and God's going to speak to him. And I'm very emotional and he's not.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful that I have a husband who prays, because to this day, something just happened a week ago. Okay, what do you think? Will you pray about it? Because my emotions are all stirred up. So.
And I think if you display that anxiety, it will affect your kids. So if your parents see, and the kids are amazing, they pick up on body language and all that stuff. If they see mom and dad anxious about letting them go to grandma and grandpa's, you're affecting that relationship with grandma and grandpa, and it ends up being messed up if you're not doing it right.
And maybe if you've never left them with grandma and grandpa, maybe you start out with grandma and grandpa are going to take you to ice cream.
Right.
I don't know, just a little, and then they come back, right? And so you're just kind of seeing how that whole thing plays out if you're concerned for some reason, So.
Okay. Good on that?
Okay.